Hey, and welcome to I Am Just Game, the podcast where two best friends spill the tea, share the laughs, and celebrate all things queer life, love, and joy. I'm Hernando Del Castillo, coming from sunny Miami, Florida.
And I'm Rashik Darnell, holding it down in Washington, D.C. We've been besties for over 20 years, and we're here to share our stories, your stories, and everything in between.
So grab your headphones, pour out your drink, and settle in for a good laugh because we're just gay, and so are you.
I know, right?
All right. So, should we get this thing started? You ready? All right. All right. Welcome, listeners, to episode 4 of I Am Just Gay with your host, Rashik Darnell and Hernando
Hernando del
Del Castillo.
Castillo.
Yeah, so we're going to do a quick recap and then we'll dive into this week's episode, which is the exploration of the LGBT pop culture. And we have a very special guest here with us today that we're really excited about, but we will get to that in just a moment. But just to do a recap, we shared our origin story of how Hernando and I became brothers over 20 plus years of friendship. So hopefully you
From
enjoyed listening to all the juicy tidbits from catfishing to
catfishing brotherhood. Catfishing to brotherhood. Go listen to the episode so you know what we're talking about. We will not be talking about it today, but go listen, please. Catfishing to brotherhood.
yeah. And so today on today's episode, Hernando, you want to kick us off of what we're going to be diving into?
So we're gonna be talking about pop culture, gay pop culture, everything that we feel like has been, queer people have been in front of the camera, in the back of the camera. They've been always in that sphere. So, there's highlights and moments of like my little queer heart had moments in my life where I knew that at that moment I was gay. Like, that's it. My little heart said, I'm gay right now. I might not be out gay, but right now that I saw this, I'm gay. And I'll figure it out later. But all those moments, I know we've all had those moments. So we want to dive into some of those and talk about it and have our guest also chime in on his pop culture queer moment, which we want to hear about, we're excited about.
Absolutely. So speaking of guests, let's go ahead and just introduce our guests. Again, we are really excited to have with us Sampson McCormick. He has been one of the most in-demand voices in diversity and comedy for over 2 decades. Named one of the 8 LGBTQ comedians who set the stage for modern queer comedy by Queerty. The award-winning comedy trailblazer has headlined venues around the world and in 2018 made history as the first LGBTQ comedian to headline at the Smithsonian Museum, the
All
National
right.
Museum of African American History and Culture. I mean, come on, it doesn't get better than that. In addition to charity work and educational causes that break barriers around race, sexuality, gender, religion, and culture, he's also appeared on BET, TV One, Viceland, Comedy Hype, Fox Soul, the films Love the One You With on Amazon Prime, and B-Boy Blues on BET Plus.
I love that
So with
movie.
that, again, we are excited to welcome here to our podcast, our very first guest, actually, Sampson McCormick. Welcome.
Hey. Thank you so much. It's a real joy. Oh, y'all got the audience up in here too. It's a joy to be a part of this with both of you. And I did get to check it out. This is really great what y'all are doing.
So
No, we
excited.
appreciate
Thank you
that.
so much for joining us. You are a great voice for the community. So we're very proud of you. Thank you. Thank you for all you do for us.
Thank you. I think now, and we'll probably get into it. I think, a lot of my perspectives are misunderstood by some people in the community now. And I think, as you two both know, being host of a podcast, or people listen, into your perspectives and worldview and things like that. It's important to be okay with people not quite understanding all the time, as long as you know, as they say, that you're on the side of the angels.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
of course. I mean, I think the conversation should be had no matter what. Like, just
Absolutely.
talk about it. I mean, that's it. Even if you don't agree, talk about why you don't agree. You don't have to agree with me or Rashik or you, but tell us. And in our queer community, we're not all gonna agree. We're not.
Yeah.
So
Which
we
is
value
refreshing to
everybody.
hear because, yeah, it's now, it seems like if you don't have a certain perspective, you kind of get ostracized. And in addition to all the diversity that we have in our community, it is important to also welcome diversity of thought. As long as someone isn't a horrible human being, let's hear it, like you said.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we opened up our very first episode with sort of that sentiment of, hey, if it's not harming you or anyone else, so be it.
We don't
This
Yeah.
is a
kink shame.
community.
We don't
Everyone
shame
is welcome.
anything. We don't kink shame. We don't do no shaming. Be you, do you, boo boo. That's what I tell people. Do you, boo boo. I'm here for it. If you love it, I like it.
I love those are two expressions that it's been a while. Do you boo boo? And but you were a lot cooler with the way you said, if you like it, I love it. You were, I can tell you genuinely mean it. Usually people say it and they're a little shady with it.
Right.
No. I mean it. I really mean, like, honestly, like, how am I gonna tell you to, like, not live your life? Then how am I gonna live my life? Let me live.
Yeah. Yeah.
You live. Let
Exactly.
me live. So yeah, it's a thing. We want to be inclusive in our podcast. I'm just saying this for everyone, queer, trans, anything that wants to allies, everybody. So we really want to be inclusive for everybody, gay, whatever. Just come and listen and talk about it, discuss with us, come into the conversation with us because we'd love to. We want everybody's point of view to be heard. That's why we're doing this because I feel like me and Rashid, as a black queer and me as a Hispanic queer person, we want everybody to have a voice.
Yeah. It's so important.
Absolutely.
But I know Rashid knows you better because he's been to 2 of your shows, so I know he really has followed you. I can't wait to see one of your shows. I definitely, when I'm in DC or where I definitely need to come and check you out for sure. But Rashid
For
has been.
sure. Yeah. Yeah. I've been touring now for, oh my God, this year is 24 years. So,
Oh my
I get
goodness.
around, and
That's awesome.
the beautiful thing is that with age, you really get more refined as a performer, and that's happening as I.
Nice.
Yeah, people don't know
Nice.
the background of like being a comedian, how like you like being in the stages just makes you a better performer. And it's you actually, because I'm a comedian too, and being in the stages has given me the opportunity to like learn about my audience, read my audience, see where I'm at, see how to play and move around. So it really does take time. It like people think comedians just go up there and like say nothing, say like what's in their mind, and I'm like, it's very planned.
Some, but I can also tell I can tell you take them on a wild ride. I can already tell you take them on a wild ride.
I do take them on a while, right? I'll get the old
Exactly.
lady in the audience and I'll be like, I know you suck dick, girl. I know you do, girl. Oh, let's not
No
play.
filter
Too
at
many
all.
years.
Right.
You gonna give somebody a heart attack.
And she was like,
That
oh,
part.
big person. So we want to
That's
dive into
somebody's
like,
grandmama.
exactly. And no, I had a lady like go like, yes, I do. And
Mind your business.
then, me and you're going to be friends. Teach me some stuff.
Lord, help him, Lord.
Help me, Lord. So we want to definitely dive into our pop culture moments for sure. I don't know if Rashik or me or you want to start. I don't know if you want to kick us off with. We want to talk about like maybe a past pop culture moment and a present pop culture moment and discuss that in what how did it impact you for sure, Rashik, right?
Yeah. I can get us started because actually, as I was getting my nails done today, I was doing a bit of research on this. So, most recently, I've been, as we said on the very first episode, exploring my, the sex positive part of myself. And part of what that has entailed is attending circuit parties. And today I was researching. So while we were prepping for this episode last night, Hernando and I were talking about Janet Jackson. And I've always been a fan of Janet Jackson. And one of the first concerts that I went to was a Janet Jackson concert, which was the Velvet Rope Tour in 1998 here in DC. And looking back on it today, actually, I was reading the Rolling Stones review of that concert, and literally what it described was basically a circuit party. Like, she created a space where individuals, gay, straight, ally, questioning, or whatever the case might be, could go and be themselves as comfortable as they wanted to be. And so I think for me in the past, that is something that I consider a gay pop culture moment in my life. And like just seeing the full circle moment now that I'm like rocking out at these circuit parties is like, I was doing this when I was a wee little baby.
Exactly.
Can I ask, what do you like about the circuit parties?
What do I like about it? So let me clarify. I have only been to one type of circuit party. So as you know, with the gay community, we love to divide, but
Yeah.
not conquer. And so this particular circuit that I attend is curated by people of color for people of color. Part of their representation is like, there is no body shaming, there's no sex shaming, like all the things. And people can put that on a flyer all day long, but do they actually live it?
Mhm.
Yes. And you're hearing Sir Braxton in the background, my dog, like going off on somebody. I don't know.
He wants to go to the circuit party.
Exactly.
He's like, let me
Exactly.
go. I mean, I don't know if you heard of it's called Deviant. If you want to maybe, I don't know if you heard of it. It's called Deviant. The circuit parties that he's talking about. Have you been to any of those or been invited, Samson? I don't know.
I've been invited, but I think Deviant is a little light for me.
Oh, okay.
I'm a little bit more hardcore than Deviant.
Ah,
Okay.
got
Let's
you.
talk
Got
about
you.
it.
Exactly. So yeah, this is fairly new for me. Well, new, I've been going. So they celebrated their 5th-year anniversary this past weekend. And I started 5 years ago. That was my first circuit party, and the only circuit, if you will, that I've been a part of. But yeah, to answer your question, like what I enjoy about it is like this past weekend, I said to the friends that I went with was actually I was explaining to someone who did not go. I said, think the Renaissance World Tour, but with your clothes off. Like literally created a safe space where everyone was just in a joyous moment. There was no shade. There were no cliques. You were there to have pure, unadulterated fun. And that's what it was. So that's what I enjoy about it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, which ones do you go to though? Because you said that one's light. Which one's the ones you go to?
Right. Let me get my pen and paper first.
I know. I'm
Yeah,
gonna write it.
get
Wait,
your
wait.
pen and
Let me
paper out.
write it down too. I'm ready.
Exactly.
Okay, so this is one thing, and I would like to see more of us have a healthier approach to it. For many of us, you know, gay, queer, bisexual men, especially if you came up in the church or a more conservative environment, you know, some of us are a little conservative, and there needs to be a room for that conversation. It's one thing to acknowledge your same sex attraction. It's another thing to both be comfortable with your body and also be comfortable with the act of sex. And so that's one of the great things about something like Deviant is it provides that environment where you can practice releasing those inhibitions, at whatever level you want to release those inhibitions at. And
Right.
that's a part of becoming a whole human being. I have had the opportunity to visit bathhouses. Shout out to Steamworks in Chicago, which is hands down the best
Okay.
bathhouse
We
in
gotta check
America.
that out.
Yeah.
You're like the fifth person that I've heard this from. I've never
Oh,
been, but
really?
I've heard that. Yeah.
And it's important, and I don't think any of us should feel pressured to do it, but it is an important part of fully accepting parts of your sexuality, whether you choose to be monogamous, poly, whether you want to be as free as a bird. But a part of visiting places like Steamworks and, I've gone to sex parties and things like that is recognizing that I am also a sexual being and that doesn't make me a bad person. And it's really important for us to understand that as long as you aren't harming yourself or anybody else, exploring and expressing those parts of yourself is part of what makes us all human.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And I think what you just said has the potential to set so many people free. So for those
Yeah,
of you
exactly.
listening in the back, yeah,
Go
no, I
explore
love
your
that.
sexuality. I think you're right. When you come up, I came up Catholic, so for me to like even, it was such. I felt like sex was such a sin for a long time, and with men, of course, and it took a while for me to like be open to like not looking at sex that way, because it was
Yeah.
like it's a sin, it's a sin, it's a sin, it's a sin, and it's like, no, I'm not a sin. That's
What got you to that point?
I think like loving myself deeply, like looking at myself in the mirror and really loving myself, like saying like, hey, you're gonna be with Hernando forever.
Yeah.
You gotta love Hernando because Hernando's not going away.
Yeah.
And looking at
Hernando is the gift you've been given.
yeah, that's Hernando's here. So like you gotta love Hernando and looking I did a lot of we all I don't know. I'm an advocate for therapy because I dealt with depression and all that stuff. So I'm very like I started doing mirror work, which is very difficult if you've never done it. Really looking at yourself in the mirror like naked and like saying, I love my dick. I love my chest. I love my face. I love my legs. Like and then after a while, you're like, wait a minute, I do love my dick. I do love my chest. I do love my face. I do love myself. And it doesn't
And
matter if somebody else doesn't love it. I love it.
yeah, and that's really important because in our community, we reduce each other to our dicks and our asses and
Right.
our bodies and our body parts. And so if you don't meet somebody's and a lot of the ways that we measure each other is not realistic, you know.
It isn't.
And so
We're looking
a
at
lot of us
porn.
feel guilty because of whatever.
It's like porn. It's like the way that we look at like our realistic point of view of like what body should look like. That is a gay man. That's Porn is the way that we think because we don't have role models to teach us like no, like being a gay man is not just you having sex and looking at porn. Like it's like I'm a whole other person besides that sexual. So I mean,
Yeah.
it's a journey. I would say that it's a journey,
Right.
and I
Which
hope
again is a
everybody gets
kind of
on it.
right. Which is the purpose of this podcast is
Yeah,
to be the role models. Because I mean, we're of that age where
yeah. I
we are
mean,
the ones that are being looked up to. So
We becoming the elders for sure.
oh, where
exactly,
the
exactly. Listen,
At
listen.
25, you're an elder in our community.
pretty much like
So
they
this
like
makes you a relic, Hernando. Okay,
I'm
it's
a relic. I am an old timer. I'm an old timer.
Listen, no ageism, age shaming over here. We all look great for our age, so hey.
So what's your pop culture moment from the past that you felt like, "Eh, I know I'm gay because I saw this and it's like something in me says, hey,
Yeah. Yeah. That is a complicated question because, all right, so there were several, I think, moments. So one was I remember when I was 5 at my, my mom was friends with one of our neighbors who used to babysit me, and I was friends with her kids. And so when the neighbor wasn't there, she had a friend or a nephew who was this really flamboyant gay boy named Kenny.
eh,
And Kenny looked like Prince. I thought Kenny was the
Wow.
most gorgeous man. My God. And so I used to get caught staring at Kenny all the time.
really?
So I think Kenny and Prince, there was some sort of relation there. Like Kenny is the reason I started paying attention to Prince. And
Eh,
although my personal expression has never been, you know, as queer as Prince is, that let me know that you could exist outside of this box that I was being raised in, right?
eh.
And then I think Tu Wong Fu that came out when I was like in middle school.
Oh my God, yes. Movie.
So
And I
I'm gonna
think
have to admit I've never seen Tu Wong Fu.
you've never seen Tu Wong Fu.
I guess I have some homework.
Eh,
You seen Paris is Burning?
I have seen Paris is Burning, yes.
Okay, good, 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 good. Yeah, it's
What
Tu
fool?
Wong Fu.
Is that the one with
Wesley?
Wesley Snipes?
Wesley Snipes.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen that. Wow. All right.
And I think my other pop culture moment that comes to mind is going to church every Sunday, get told I was going to hell for being gay. That was a big
Right.
You're like that. That
that was a great
that's a
pop culture
culture
moment
moment
every Sunday.
every
Right.
Sunday. So
Right.
are you still a church goer or
Hernando, yes. I don't think that ever leaves you. What I do believe though is two things happen. I think that you reestablish a relationship with God, and I think that being gay or being queer or whatever puts you in a position to establish such a radical relationship with God that you never would have been challenged to do had you been straight. Or
you're right?
because I mean basically if you aren't gay, you can basically finesse your way into heaven, except if
Mm.
you're gay. You can murder somebody and still get in.
Yeah,
It's
they all
so
get
it's
in.
to be gay and to say I'm still worthy of God's love is one of the most radical acts of faith that you can take.
It is. Yeah, my brother became really Christian, and I used to go to church with him, and he used to talk about homosexuals, and I used to tell him like, I don't need these men to tell me that I can love God. Of course I
Yeah.
can. And he's like, oh, I'm like, I don't need these men to tell me I can love God. Of course I can. They're not gonna
And the
shove
and
me
the
away.
fun part is they tell you that you can't have a relationship with God, and then you find them at deviant. So there's that.
If they want to have relationships with you or relations.
They be in
I'm
there,
not lying. I'm not even joking. I found one of my priests in a bookstore.
yeah,
Makes sense.
So there's this thing with religion where we are taught that we should just so hope to get just a little scrap, just a little piece of mercy, and it doesn't make sense.
Right. And what about you, Hernando? What was oh, looks like we may have lost him.
Hernando, he had to run to a circuit party right quick. He'll be back.
Sorry, I had to read the next. I don't know what happened.
It's all good. So no, we were asking you what's your
My
yeah.
Britney Spears at the VMAs with her serpent. I couldn't. I knew it at
Mm,
that moment. I knew I was gay, and I wanted to be a backup dancer for Britney Spears. I was like, that's what I want to do with my life. I want to backup dance for Britney Spears. And then then I became like super rebellious, and I would take dance classes and tap classes. And my mom's like, "What are you doing? You need to be a lawyer." I'm like, "Mom, I want to dance, Mom. I want to dance." And she like had to like accept that part of me eventually that is like, he's gay. It's like, I was like, yeah, Mom.
And that's hard in Latin culture.
Oh my God, so difficult. We went to therapy for a year, and then she stayed in therapy for 2 more years.
Wow.
She had to stay in therapy because the therapist was like, he knows he's gay. You're the one that doesn't understand that he's gay. So you need to stay here and accept the fact that he's gay because he's not going to change. I'm like, I'm not, Mom. We already done this a year. We've done 4 therapists. I just do it for you because I love you.
Uh,
But you need to stay here, Mom, and accept this. And it took her time. But now she's like P flag. I love my son. He's gay. I love him. I love him. I love him. Now she's like super like P flag mom. Tells everybody I'm gay. I'm like, you don't gotta tell everybody I'm gay, Mom. Like, people don't need to know.
I love that.
So yeah, so that pop
and
culture moment.
even to go back to just this religion moment that we were having a second ago, it is impossible that your mom or any of our dads or mothers or other family members or friends can come to accept and love us and God can't. It's
All right.
how can a human have a greater capacity for love for us than who created us?
Amen.
I'm not
Yeah.
gonna preach, but outside, I mean, there are elements of church in my comedy for sure, but
Right.
it's that really hurt to grow up, in a church where so much of our culture is, so much of our community is, when the Black community didn't have anything, we had the church, and to go there and be told when everywhere else around us is discriminating against us and we're facing all these different challenges, and you're told by these same people that you're in this struggle against that you aren't worthy. It's that should help us to understand why there are so many gay men, period, who've grown up in the
Hmm.
church who are dead on the
Right.
inside, because that literally kills something on the inside.
Right. And
You've
it's
been
an
to his show. I
oxymoron.
mean, you've been to his show. You've heard there's like moments of church. I mean, there should be. That's your life. I think comedians, that's what they talk about, their life. Like,
Yeah.
their life. Like, your point of view in a funny way, you know?
Right. Yeah. No. So I think this is a good segue to what I would consider a recent pop culture, LGBT plus pop culture moment. And that is the trajectory of Lil Nas X. I love how he came onto the scene. From my perspective, I think everyone thought that he had to follow the steps of being the first gay, if you will. And we know he wasn't, but like many people in the spheres saw him as such. And he took that script and tore that shit up. Like, and like even like the recent backlash that he got from the religious community for some of the content and things that he created. I love all of it because it's, his truth, celebrating it and really like
So what was the
paving the way.
backlash? I didn't know. What was it? I didn't hear about it. What was it?
I mean, there was I don't remember the name of the video, but it was the one where like the scenes where he's going to hell and comes
Yes,
back.
yes.
Yes.
And the shoes with the blood
The
in them,
shoes
and
with the blood.
Exactly.
But I
Yes.
think that's
Yes.
all like, that's just all advertising. It just feel like you're putting out a video where you're the devil and somebody's getting a lap dance on you. People will buy your shoe with blood on it.
Right. But I don't know. I question, is it only advertising? I feel like part of it is kind of expressing what we were just discussing. Like, you're an artist, and that's what an artist does, is express their truth through their art.
Mhm.
Yes, it may seem like, what do you call it? That shock and awe type of art that then we who are not used to it, we then say that's only marketing. But who knows? Maybe it was his truth.
I mean, again, we agreed to disagree. I feel like it was marketing.
Right.
So, like he knew how to market that stuff, and he made money selling those shoes because those shoes were expensive, and people bought them. So I feel like
People
he's
bought
a
them, but they
very good
did pull them
marketer.
quick too. They pulled them shoes kind of quick because a
Yeah,
lot of people were
They were up in
kind of
arms about it.
outraged about it.
Right. They were offended.
they
Which
were.
how many marketing ads do they pull versus how many like things that are speaking truth do they pull? Like, I don't want to bring up Kanye West, but like he was speaking a truth and they nixed that. Versus if it was purely marketing, it would have still been available to us.
Well, I mean, it's what people don't understand about the industry is when you have people funding your life, when you are getting these endorsement deals and you sign these contracts and things like that, you got to follow the script.
Exactly.
And so,
You went off the script.
yeah, that may mean denying your authentic sense of self.
Exactly. And so that's the point that I was raising with Lil Nas. I feel like, he went off the script a little bit. And I celebrate that.
I think, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
dude, like a lot of people were talking about Sam Smith too, and his video and the music that he just put out right now with the transsexual girl and everybody, and like, what's that song? The something. I don't remember the name of the song, but Sam Smith too. Everybody was
He was
condemning
dressed up
him.
like the devil.
Yeah, he was just
Right.
like the devil.
And let's
So
be
then
real,
we
like
like
they
talking
weren't the
about like
first. Like,
everybody's talking
Madonna was
about that.
doing this back in the day.
Yeah, everybody was
So
like, they're dressed like the devil. It's the devil. Rihanna was dressed in red, but she likes the devil. Girl. She was just, she was selling those clothes and those shoes too, girls. She was in the script.
But she really played it because, I mean, she's a billionaire. She became one pretty easy.
Let me tell you, I mean, you're in the entertainment industry. Sometimes that the game that we play is the game that we play. Sometimes you gotta, you know, I just did a show where I literally was like roasting Hitler. Do you think I wanted to do that? No, but I was getting paid, so
Yeah.
I did the show.
They paid you to roast Hitler.
They paid me to roast Hitler, and I was like, "Let's go, go! I'm getting paid. I need that paycheck." Oh,
Okay.
I had to do it. My friend's like, "Yeah, just come." And it was like so like crazy. It was like a whole bunch of comedians. They weren't even roasting Hitler at that point. They were like just roasting each other because they were like they didn't even know how to roast Hitler. So I was like, I guess this is what this is. So they were roasting me. We were roasting each other. So I was like, whatever. That's just a roast at this point. But hey, that paycheck came. Comedians sometimes get paid in drink tickets.
Drink tickets, chicken tenders. Oh my God. Some
Yeah,
of
I've
them
been
get
paid
paid
in
as
all kinds
sexual
of ways.
harassment. I mean, Jesus
Entries
Christ.
into something like free entries, and I'm like, why do I need money? Do you think
Yeah.
I get paid a drink ticket? Do you think my bills get paid with drink?
right.
I don't even drink.
So no, yeah.
Or
So speaking of the comedy sort of space, Samson, I mean, and we can definitely circle back to talking more about pop culture and its LGBT influence in pop culture. But truly, I consider you to be an LGBT plus pop culture icon, hands down. And so I just want to find out and maybe share with our listeners, like you've been a trailblazer in this for some time. What inspired you to one, pursue comedy in the first place? And how has your identity, if it does, influenced and shaped your journey?
Well, I've always loved comedy. I grew up on Arsenio Hall and In Living Color. all those different shows, we grew up with in the 80s and 90s. And I was always a funny kid. I genuinely do comedy because I love people. And I think that resonates when I'm on stage. I think an audience can feel what your vibe is. And also, your audience is an extension of you. And so a lot of great people show up to the shows. Anyway, to get back on topic, it was always a vehicle to connect with community. I was that kid who wandered around the neighborhood. I knew all my neighbors. I knew their business. I cracked jokes. I was a class clown. And I spent a lot of time in trouble. And also, back then, we, if you didn't just sit down and be quiet, because that was a part of the be seen and not heard era,
Mm-hmm.
you were considered, excuse my language, retarded or special ed.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had teachers who, that's the word they use. So I had
Right.
teachers who would say, nothing's wrong with you. You're just a very expressive person. And my second grade teacher and fifth grade teacher would have me stand up in front of the class and tell jokes if I did my work.
Really?
And so that's a whole story, but I'm giving y'all the abbreviated version. But that let me know I like being in front of people. And then finally in high school, my English and drama teacher were like, you need to go do something productive with your mouth and all that energy. And so it was comedy. And, to answer the second question, being able to stand up on stage and bear the truth of who I am, as a Black gay man was one of the most liberating things that I could do because I couldn't tell my friends, I couldn't tell my mom, but I could stand up on a stage in front of 30, 40 people every night and talk about it. And I would be drenched in sweat. And
Mm-hmm.
so what it has become is a vehicle of structure for my life, certainly. That's a whole conversation, but also a way to connect with people and do two things: encourage other people to live authentically. And it's crazy, guys, that so many people struggle with simply being who they are. I didn't know that because I've
Right.
always felt really good. And I talk to a lot of people who say they're afraid to be themselves. And so
Yeah.
I think my comedy helps people do that. And also what I have learned to really not be afraid of is it motivates people to go after their dreams.
It's awesome.
Absolutely.
No, yeah,
I
I
love
think
that.
it's hard to live authentically. We went to DR, me and Rashid, which if you've never been to DR, please go to DR because
I've been.
it's a whole nother podcast. It's a whole another whole it's
Oh,
a whole nother talk.
different.
DR.
Yes.
DR itself is a whole nother talk. But literally,
I
there was
was
this
over
guy
there like a
staying at our
dirty old
hotel.
man.
But there was this guy there who was not out in his in where he was from, and he was there with us, and like was being so open, like and hugging us and telling us, "I can't be myself where I'm from. I
Yeah.
can only be that here." And I was like, "Really?" And he's like, "Yes." And you guys make me feel so welcome and so loved, and like, of course, come join us, come be with us. He's like, and he cried. He cried. I remember he's like, I am always gonna remember this trip. You guys made me feel like I can be myself. I was like, my God, there's still people out there that
No,
go
there
home
are.
and are not out. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, we're glad that you're out there being a voice. And that's why I want to be a voice to Hispanic, because coming out being Hispanic is very difficult. And there's still people getting kicked out of their homes, their parents disowning them, telling them
Yeah.
you don't belong here. It's still happening. It's still happening. So I'm
People
like,
don't
no,
understand, that kills something on the inside of you.
Mm-hmm.
it does.
Like
Yeah, I
that
used to
literally
volunteer.
kills something in you at the root.
It does. I used to volunteer in there's a gay LGBT center, and I would see these kids getting kicked out of their homes, and like we literally would go out of the state to pick them up and bring them to the center because they
Yeah.
were in the street, and I was like, my God, my mom had a hard time, but she never kicked me out. I know it would have probably broken me in some way, like, and I see them, and it's like building them back together and loving them is like the only way. So I'm an advocate to like go out there and volunteer and help the kids and be part of their lives, you know. So, and like even with comedy, you're doing that. You're healing. How comedy heals.
Absolutely.
It does. It does in so many ways.
Absolutely. Which is why I was at your last show. I was just out of a 10-year relationship, and I'm like, I need the love, I need the comedy, all the laughs. So brought my entire family, most of them anyway, not entire family, but friends. I mean, we had a blast. So again, thank you for that.
Thank you. And thank you for coming. And again, thank you for, we talked about it in the email before the show, but thank you for having the courage to embrace your journey.
Absolutely. Yep. Still on this liberation tour is what I'm calling it. Awesome.
So you feel
So
like
yeah,
you have any? Go ahead. Appreciate.
no, you go.
So do you feel like you have like these like role models that you look up to? Do you have gay queer role model comedians you look up to? Because I feel like I don't have any like Hispanic gay comedian. And maybe you're in the circuit more. Do you know of any like queer Hispanic comedians that are like big out there that maybe the audience should know about?
Marga Gomez immediately comes to mind.
Oh, yeah.
She was a lesbian comedian in the 80s. I think there have been a couple, but thing is the ones that we had, they definitely died during the AIDS epidemic. We lost a lot of history then, and we lost a lot of our elders. We lost a lot of our mentors. We lost a lot of our history. And so there are a
Mhm.
lot of stories that, that we don't know about. But, people like Marga, Marga's been around. She's been a lesbian comedian now for about 40. I'm telling her age. Lesbians don't care. She's probably been a lesbian comedian for like 40 years now. And
Amazing.
so, you know, a lot of the women, we had with the men, we had Corwin Hawkins, who was in Low Down Dirty Shame. He's a black drag queen. His name was Amazing Grace.
Okay.
And he also was appearing on Def Comedy Jam. So imagine a black
Right.
drag queen comedian
Right.
performing on Def Comedy Jam,
That's
which
amazing.
those audiences
They
came
were
in there
rough.
with bottles and
Right.
knives and guns. And you had this black drag queen in there, performing. I really wish we were talking about that more. Also, Rudy Ray Moore, Black Dolomite used to have
Hmm.
drag queens at his club here in LA who would do comedy. So we've always been, um, a part of comedy. And then also before me, there was Andre Kelly, because I know for a long time it was me and Andre Kelly. I was on the East Coast, he was on the West Coast, and
Mm.
then in Europe there is Stephen K. Amos is in Europe. And those were really interesting times because a lot of the clubs were not hiring LGBTQ comedians, and if they did, it was only during Pride Month. And we were like,
Mm.
we're
We
funny
exist outside of that.
365 days of the year.
Yeah,
And
like we don't
so
only live in Pride.
yeah, like
We
we
don't
we
only come out in
exist,
June.
and that's, excuse me, that's what a lot of them think. And I think it's okay to toot my own horn a little bit. So my contribution in contemporary queer culture, because I'm definitely, as a lot of the magazines and things have said, I definitely help set the stage for Black and brown queer comedians. because they were in the closet. The ones that we had, like you would look at them, you'd be like, okay, this person is gay. But as far as like headliners, a lot of the clubs weren't bringing us in, and so I've always been very business minded about practical. Even though I'm a creative, I still approach it very practically. I'm so practical to be a creative person. It's always been, okay, if you have talent, it doesn't make sense to not also have an audience and be doing something structured with it. And so what I would do is first I would do shows at the LGBTQ centers. I found out there were audiences. And so I said, okay, well, I might as well start approaching these comedy clubs. And so, the idea is to get the Friday through Sunday shows. Those are the 5 shows. That's what you usually get. They weren't giving that to us because they didn't think we could sell tickets. So I started booking the shows on Tuesdays or Wednesdays and selling out. And, it really helped become a thing in comedy. I wish that our community celebrated that more, but, I think the fact that now we have more Black and brown queer comedians, that celebration enough.
No, that's wonderful. And we
But that's good. I
definitely
mean, you're
appreciate your
doing well.
contribution.
Yeah,
It's just like
comedy specials. There were no, and that's how people found out about me because I was producing my own specials. I was putting them
wow.
on YouTube, selling cassettes. You remember VHS?
Right.
Really?
VHS tapes, CDs. It really, that business element for LGBTQ on stage and comedy was missing, and so I definitely contributed very heavily to that.
That's awesome. What are the big queer comedy, like, kind of like events that happen that you're usually a part of?
Hmm. Some of those come and they go. There have been shows. There used to be Wisecrack on Logo, which you can probably
Mhm.
find on Amazon somewhere. Queer comedy festivals. There used to be the Midwest Queer Comedy Festival that ran for a couple of years, but no queer comedy festivals that are steady come to mind because it is a challenge getting the community to support them.
Really? But that's something we should
Like,
work on. We should
that's
work
what I
on
was
a
about to say.
comedy festival.
How can we help
Yes.
support that and change that? Because, we're 4 episodes in. We got a long way to go. We definitely want to build community, and as a part of building community, it's lifting up people like yourself, lifting up people who want to get into comedy. So yeah, how can we contribute to that? And how could our listeners contribute to it?
When you see somebody doing something like I got into I don't argue with strangers online, but I got into I will respond to you one time.
Right.
I noticed that, and this is particularly for the Black community and the Black LGBTQ community, and I think the gay community, but speaking specifically to both the Black gay and the Black communities, we will talk about things we don't like. We'll get online, we'll do videos about it, we'll screenshot and repost and keep talking about it, we'll tell everybody. But with the things that we do like, we're quiet about that. We don't say nothing about it. And
That's
so
so
there
crazy.
needs to be a shift in how we do that. The things that we like, the people we know work hard and have great product, great performances, whatever it is, we need to do more promoting. It's word of
Right.
mouth, sharing it online, being, an avenue of media, as you guys are here. All that
Yes.
stuff is important.
Right.
Well, we definitely want to
Speak.
put you out there.
Absolutely. Speaking of, and this has been wrecking my brain, and since you just sort of opened up the door, I'm just going to step through it. So, not the last show that you did in DC, but the one prior to that. So, I guess that would have been a year or 2 years ago.
I was sick too during that show. Ooh,
It was maybe
20,
20,
it was
2019.
2023.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like 2023
The
at the same
woman,
venue. DC
the
Comedy,
woman who opened up for you, I do not remember her name.
Ray Diva.
Thank you. Because she was fucking like, I literally thought I was going to die. I was laughing so hard.
Good.
And one thing you need to know about me is I have actually passed out from laughter. It literally, I was on the verge of passing out. I'm just like, this is not the place to be passing out in this small ass thing. Okay, Ray Diva. Okay, I have to
Ray
remember that
Diva.
because
Yes.
yes, awesome.
And
Thank you.
that's a cardinal rule. Some comedians are threatened to have an opener who's just as funny or whatever, even funnier.
Right.
I don't mind my feature one-upping me some nights,
No.
because I think that keeps you sharp.
Yes. Yes.
You want somebody who's always going to keep you on top of your game.
No.
Yeah,
And
fun.
that's the thing. She finished, and then you came in, and then just tried to like, I'm gonna make this pass out.
When they take it to the ceiling, you got to take it to the roof.
Yes, yes, and you did that. Both of you. Yeah, I'll never forget that show either. It was amazing. So, but no,
Thank
thanks for sharing how we can support, and we definitely will continue to support you and others like yourself.
you.
So yes, I think we're coming towards a close here. So we did have maybe one more question for you, and also just want to open up the space for you to share what it is that you want to share in terms of what you're doing, maybe what you're supporting. We also do want to recognize, we know you're out in LA where, things are just not so good right now. And so want to acknowledge that and acknowledge, the space that you've given us even amongst all of what is going on.
Yes,
So
thank you.
appreciate you for that.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Just reminded me too. I got to go out there and check on my s'mores. No, I'm just playing.
I think they're burnt. I think there's no more s'mores out there.
Exactly. Their ashes.
Well, the fires have been put out. They simmering now. We still have some of the ground is still a little hot, so they just out there simmering right now.
That is so
Absolutely.
crazy what you guys are going through over there. It's wow. We're like shocked and like scared for you guys too.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's it really is a reminder that nothing is guaranteed, and that we all need to be grateful every day for what we have and be kind.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So yeah, the one last question that we had, I guess, is around, comedy and it pushing barriers and challenging social norms. How do you approach a balancing humor with your advocacy and your work?
Humor allows perspective. It allows a sense of optimism through challenging times. I think that, you see a lot of people posting, everybody wants prosperity and great times. And, life is not always that. Life can throw them hands sometimes. And so,
Yeah.
I think what humor allows us to do, if you can find something and if you can maintain a good attitude about it, if you can joke about it, if you can find the positive in it, you can survive it. And so that's what humor, allows. Also, just in our current political climate, you know, I catch a lot of heat because I like to leave space for however people show up politically, because just because somebody votes one particular way or has a certain political belief, that mean it's a bad person. And so I think it allows us to be able to tell the truth and be able to cushion things that make us uncomfortable sometimes. And so if we look around at the world around us, and this is a little deep, but I do spend a lot of time,
No, we like
you
it deep.
know,
We love it deep.
looking at what's happening. Real deep. Come on, circuit party. I'm just playing.
Please, sir.
It's you know, if we look around at the world around us, everything is pushing us further and further apart as human beings. We're being replaced by robots. We're becoming robotic in our emotions, in how we treat each other, in our black and white thinking. Humor kind of creates a bridge that, again, makes us be able to deal with the discomfort that comes with telling the truth. And again, holding space for people of all different walks of life and political views and things like that. It's important for us to not polarize ourselves. But, you know, again, if it is a decent person, I mean, obviously if it's somebody and they're going deaf to this group of people or whatever, that's a problem. But
Yeah.
if it's somebody saying, hey, I tell people all the time, I think I said it at the show that you came to and I say it on stage, just because somebody doesn't agree with gay marriage, for instance, doesn't mean they're homophobic. You might
Exactly.
have an aunt who will come to your gay ass wedding, and invite you and your boo to her house for sweet potato pie. But if you ask her, how do you feel about marriage? She'll say, you can get married, but I personally view it this way. And rather than bite auntie's head off, we can say that's what she believes. And I
Exactly.
believe if we just kind of show it with understanding and make ourselves relatable to each other as human beings on that emotional level, that's where our bridges need to continue to be built at. And I think humor allows for that to happen.
Definitely. I
Absolutely.
really do think
Couldn't
that.
agree with you more.
Yeah, so definitely, you know, I mean, say what you need to say. Talk about what you need to talk about. Express yourself. I think everybody has the right to say what they want to say. I don't think I
Absolutely.
also believe that I know that if you're a Trump supporter, like I met Trump supporters that are my friends, and they're voting in their political view. I can't hate them because they have a political view. Maybe it's not my political view, it's their political view. And again, I'm not gonna stop talking to them. I mean, and like not be. And then we sometimes have these conversations where we just disagree, and but we still are there for each other. It's not like I'm like, no, I can't talk to this person anymore and cancel. Like, you know how everything's being canceled. Cancel culture is like, oh, cancel this person, cancel this, cancel that. Like, I'm sure
Yeah.
that if you said something, people want to cancel you, and you're like, why am I being canceled just because I'm
Lord. I'm gonna say this real quick, because I'm very honest. I say, I don't mean any harm to anybody, but like I got in trouble with the pronouns because I said, if I see you and you look like a man, I'm gonna call you sir. It don't mean I won't respect who you are, but it's just like, and I'm in the gay community saying that, and a lot of us in the gay community fight over that. So if we're in the gay community fighting over that, of course, people who don't know anything about
Exactly.
LGBTQ culture, they really gonna struggle with it if they ever get it at all. And I did
Exactly.
lose a lot of gigs for that sort of transparency
Really?
and not being politically correct. But my issue is this. There are a lot of people in our community, particularly activists right now. They are getting all the bookings. They are, they're the ones who get the attention and things like that. I'm not going to call no names, but I should. No, I'm just playing. There are some of them who say all these things that are, politically correct, and
Hmm.
they sound good to your ears. But if you look at their behavior, they're not good people. They're stealing from these organizations they work for. If they come across a trans person who is clockable or whatever, they will not treat them well because what they call them a brick,
Yeah.
things like that. I would much rather treat people well. I will still love you completely as a human being and show up for you. But if you ask me the truth about something, I would say, hey, I'm struggling here, or this is just my view, but I love you, and how can I be there for you? I would much rather do that than say what sounds right or
Right.
is the thing to say, but be horrible in
I think we
reality.
all struggle
And
Exactly.
I think
with
that that's where we really need to get it right at.
I think even as a gay man, I struggle with transsexual people because I'm not used to. Well, maybe because we come from a time that wasn't so out prevalent. So like it's difficult sometimes for me to call a man that's turning into a woman a she. And so I excuse myself because I do have, it's not that I want to be insensitive. It's that maybe I don't know your struggle and I don't know if you look like a he to me, I might call you he. Maybe you're a she. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I
But I
don't
think
know.
I think the piece though that is missing from yourself versus where we're getting this vitriol from is empathy.
Yeah.
I know you of over 20 plus years, and I know that you have empathy, and so I know that you're not coming at it in a vicious, vitriol way.
Uh,
And we need more of that. I think that's the point that you were making, Samson, is like we're getting too far apart from being human beings that actually respect each other and can give each other grace and share some empathy.
Human.
So exactly.
You
Grace.
And
know,
again,
give people the same love and grace and
exactly.
acceptance that you want, you know, and being you would think we would get that, you know, being a Black gay man has taught me how to show people a little bit of extra love because I know what it feels to not get it. I know what it
Exactly.
feels like to walk into a place with other gay men and have them look at you crazy because you don't got on certain types of clothes, or you go to a church and I say it all the time on stage. I say, you can go to a church, you know, you can kill somebody, that's cool, but God forbid you're a gay saint, you know, and that really does teach you how to, you know, really understand the complexity that we show up with as human beings.
Absolutely.
People,
So
do
yeah,
not
no,
cancel
before we wrap,
Samson. Do not cancel Samson.
exactly.
He is not
It
cancelable.
No,
can't happen. I mean, it's
we
my last year, my finances did take a hit the last couple of years, but you know, you have to stand in your truth, and it is important for people to. That's what integrity is. And
yeah,
and any of those people who have been online calling me these horrible names and saying all these different things, and you I will still show up to an event. I will still show up to a party, and I can look people directly in their eye and shake their hand and hug them and smile and be exactly who I am because I don't have anything to hide, and I know who I am.
absolutely.
Very, very true. Very, very true.
Absolutely. So yeah, so before we close things out, we like to end with our segment where we call queer moments of joy. I'll
Yes.
get us started, and then Hernando and then Samson will give it to you to wrap us out, share your queer moment of joy, and then also let people know where they can find you, what you have coming up, how to tap in and continue to support. So yeah, so this week my queer moment of joy really is you, Samson. You have been God sent, as I said in the email. You know, you just living authentically, being your true self, unapologetically who you are, is really a queer moment of joy. And I wish nothing but the best for you and continued success and adventures on this journey.
Thank you.
And I have to, I mean, I am not lying to you. This is, if I believe in God. So I feel like that was a moment that me and him had because we literally, when you emailed us, we were talking about you at that same moment. And then your
Wow.
email came and I was like, this is not real. He didn't know because I was on the email and I was
And
like,
I was driving. Yeah,
and he was driving and I was like, he just emailed us. He said yes. Oh my God. Oh my God. Like literally that's how I was like, he said yes, he's coming on. We're so grateful. Thank you so much for supporting I Am Just Game because we really want to support you as well. So we're so grateful you're here. So happy that you came and joined us for this conversation.
Absolutely. Because
Yeah.
again, and we didn't get into this, but because this could be a whole nother episode, but you know, we don't look the part. We're 4 episodes in. You took a chance on us. Like you could have easily been like, oh, looked at the numbers like, oh, these people, they're just playing around with this little podcast thing. But the fact that you said yes and emphatically yes, and you're here again, we appreciate it. So thank you.
Oh, that means a lot. Thank you.
Absolutely. So yeah, what's your queer moment, and also where can people find you, and what do you have coming up?
Queer moment. Culture is so beautiful. It's a really deep passion. The way I'm speaking for Black culture,
Mhm.
how we in the 80s and 90s, we had all these great movies that made us feel good and brought us together. We had Do the Right Thing, we had Juice, we had Wait to Exhale, we had I Still Got a Groove Back, Sister Act. I can go on and on. We had In Living Color, we had Martin,
Yes, Martin. I love Martin.
Arsenio Hall show. The music in the 90s was great. That is what I aim to continue to contribute to our community. We should have things that make us feel good about being in our community, feel good about being who we are, make us feel alive, heal us, bring us joy. And so with that, because we were talking about it earlier this week, queer moment of joy I got to was going to see Noah's Ark, the movie in DC
Mm,
at the East Street Cinema.
Oh wow,
wow.
At that time, we had never, 3 of them. I'm gonna make this quick, y'all. Okay.
you're
Number
the
one,
first guest, so you get as many as you want. Go ahead, go for it.
this is all, it's the same thing, but this is how much I love just culture, film, music, TV, you know, just all that stuff. So number one really was going to see Dirty Laundry by, rest in peace, Maurice Jamal, who was a
Yes.
dear friend, dear
Man,
friend, Maurice Jamal. I have the DVD over there in front of the TV. It was at Union Station in DC, which on Friday nights was the gay hangout spot. That's a whole different
mm,
episode.
Yes.
A lot of us were coming out to our families and really learning what our sexuality meant, which you never completely do. You're always learning different parts as we age, as but going to the theater and seeing Dirty Laundry with Loretta Devine, Rockman Dunbar, Jennifer Lewis was a moment. Again, this was a movie theater. People weren't even talking about being gay, let alone out the closet. And to be in this movie theater at what time? It was like 4 o'clock in the afternoon or something. And people are laughing at this story. People are there. People are in there crying. And it was community. That was a moment. That was in 2004 or something, 5, something like that.
mm,
Then Noah's Ark, the movie at the East Street Cinema in 2007 or 8. Another one just to see a bunch of Black gay men and people who love us in those theaters. And it sold out.
Right.
We love Noah's Ark,
Great
by the way.
moment.
We love Noah's Ark.
Noah's Ark, the film.
We
It's a
love it.
great series, great film.
We love the
And
series. We were obsessed with the series, and then we went to see the movie. I was in DC when we went to see the movie for Black Gay Pride.
Yeah.
Yes,
y'all were at the Pride Festival?
Yeah.
yes.
Yep.
We were all Black Gay
Those are
Pride, and we went.
moments.
That moment was amazing.
Yeah, no, that is affirming. And then the other one was, I was living in Oakland at the time. Moonlight came out
Mm.
Mm,
and going, these are magical stories that each time in those theaters, we're in those theaters and the theater is packed. And maybe it's a big deal to me because I've constantly heard nobody wants to pay for that. Nobody.
They do.
Those are queer joy moments. I wanted to make that shorter, but I'm
No,
really
it's
passionate
No,
about
we
it's
love
all
it.
our
good.
culture.
Moonlight was based in Miami, so me seeing Moonlight and seeing Miami put out there like that, and like the projects. I mean, I was raised in those projects, so I know the projects. So just living that life where that is how at that moment it was to be gay in Miami. And like I went to that diner. That diner is actually a diner on Biscayne Boulevard that's super popular. So when they put that diner, I was like, oh my God, I go to that diner all the time with my friends. So Moonlight was like magical. And people did want to hear our story. They wanted to hear it.
Oh, I need some water. I stopped smoking, so I'm just the best
Don't
way to
worry.
keep up.
You're in a safe
The best
space.
way to keep
Cough.
up.
You're in a safe space. You get caught.
That sounds horrible. No, I need some water. And it's also been smoky out here too. Like it was
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
crazy out here. As far as following Instagram at Sampson McCormick, I'm really learning how to use social media better. And also love the one you're with on Amazon Prime. Check that out.
Yeah,
A
definitely.
Party and Play on Amazon Prime and B-Boy Blues on BET Plus.
Bro,
I wrote 2 of those movies and I produced all 3 of them. So again, culture.
B-Boy
Fantastic.
And
Blues movie. I read that book when
wow.
Eli Harris was the person that I read while I was coming out of the closet. When he
Wow.
died, I was devastated. Devastated.
And B-Boy Blues, that is by James Earl
James
Hardy, but
Earl. Yeah.
you know, I got it.
Eli Harris is the man. He's an amazing writer. I mean,
Got some more of his books over here somewhere, but yeah, I just got a stacker. You probably can see them. All these are just black gay books, black queer stories.
but that B-Boy Blues, that story, like that when that boy sang that song in that church for that man, and it wasn't for the church, but it was for that man. I remember feeling that. I remember singing like that because I was in love at that moment.
Mm.
Feeling that moment, like I knew how I was singing, not for the church, but I was singing for that man that was out there because I was so in love. I was like, oh my God, I know that feeling. I know that feeling. Oh my God, that
Yeah.
movie, that book changed my life.
Yes.
So thank you. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. Again, thank you. Thank you. Thank you is all we can say is we really appreciate it. Also, this was enjoyable. We enjoyed this
Yeah.
moment with you, having our first guest, being on the podcast. So hopefully you enjoyed yourself and hopefully we'll have you back in another season or something
Come
to
to
For
Miami.
sure.
Come do some comedy in Miami. We'd love to have you.
I was there last June at the what's it called? Off the Hook Comedy Club or something like that. I can't think of the name of that club. But I come from time to time and I'll definitely be back.
There's a lot of gay comedians there. If you ever want to like come down and do a weekend, I can connect you because they host a lot of gay comedians there at the Villain Theater in Miami. It's in the Little
Okay.
Haiti area. So definitely hit me up and I can connect you with the people there and they'll love to have you. They would love to have you for sure.
Okay. For sure.
Yeah, that'll
absolutely.
be fun. And I get to see you. That'll be awesome.
Yes. Yes. And we can go out and I don't know if whether you drink or not, but we can go out. If you don't drink, we can have
I don't drink,
mocktails. And
but
if
I'll
you do, we
party
can
like a
have
crazy
cocktails.
person. You can have I don't drink. I'll smoke a little weed, but I don't drink. But like, we can go party it up. I'll take you to other places. Let's go.
Okay.
Let's.
Okay.
Sounds like it is a plan.
Rashid
All
should
right.
come with us too.
Hey, I haven't been to Miami in a minute, so let's make
Exactly.
it happen.
For
All right.
real.
Well, that is a wrap for this week's episode. Again, thank you to our listeners. We hope you continue to love on yourself and give yourself and others grace. And with that, we are out. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's it for today's episode of I'm Just Gain. Thank you so much for tuning in and sharing this space with us.
And if you love what you heard, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with your favorite friends. It keeps the conversation going.
And don't forget to follow us on Instagram, TikTok for now, because we don't know where it's going, and Twitter, also known as X, at I'm Just Game, for behind the scenes moments, episode updates, and more queer joy.
And until next time, remember to live authentically, love unapologetically, and always celebrate queer joy.
Because we're just game, and so are you.